everybody, welcome back to another episode of Book a Lunch Taste. So today we're making Mantou. Mantou is a kind of traditional Chinese bread that we don't bake it, but we steam it. It's a very classic, and it's been passed on for years. The history dated way back to the Three Kingdoms. And then it, of course, went over Asia. So you can basically find it in a lot of Asian countries, not just China, Taiwan, and Singapore. Like you can find it Mantou in Japan. That's came from the same origin, and similar sound too. So the English translation usually people call it bun, just no Chinese bun. And the ingredients is super duper easy. So as you can see, I already measured it out, so you don't have to watch me panic and all that stuff. So you will need all-purpose flour. I have 500 grams here. Milk. I use soy milk today, but feel free to use soy milk if you want to use other flavor. I know people use just plain water, that's fine too. Or you can use chocolate milk, anything that you prefer, really. This is going to be the foundation, like the flavor of your bun. So I use soy milk, and there is 260 milliliter of it. So that's that. And I use my little measuring device, which I put it over there. So I use my little measuring device. It will tell you you can switch from gram to milliliter, and that's pretty easy to use. I have 5 grams of yeast, 50 milliliters of vegetable oil. Use whatever you can find, just nothing too strong. And then 30 grams of sugar. Now you can add more if you like it sweeter, but usually we don't eat it as like, you can eat it by yourself. A lot of people like that, but a lot of time we will add in other stuff to it. So that's why we don't really add too sweet to the bread itself. But if you like that, add more. That's totally fine. So the first step is we're actually going to warm up our milk, okay, or soy milk. I use soy milk. You don't want to make it too hot though, because if it's too hot, you're going to kill your yeast. So you don't want to make it too hot. Just kind of like a warm, like your fingers should still be able to touch it. You don't want to be burning hot. And it's really easy. Now I'm using my mixer today, but you don't have to if you don't have a mixer at home. You can just take a big bowl and just knead it, and it's fairly easy to do that as well. Mix it up a little bit. So I did 30 seconds in the microwave. That should be fine. And then I'm going to add in my sugar. The sugar is going to help with the yeast as well. So I'm just going to let the sugar dissolve. If you want, you can substitute it with brown sugar or other type of sweetener, but regular sugar is enough. And I used vanilla soy milk, so it's going to give a hint of vanilla. I'm going to do another 15 seconds just to warm it up a little bit more. It's a very easy recipe, nothing super difficult. And like I said, my first time making it, I use I hand knead it, so you know it's a fun workout. Right. I know I'm ready. Now we have our yeast. We're just gonna sprinkle on top. You know, I'm going to mix it a little bit more. You can smell the soy. And sprinkle on top and just kind of let it sit for about 5 minutes. That's going to help just kind of let the yeast come back to life. Let it kind of like, oh, there's food, there's sugar, there's milk. Let me warm up to my stage ready to be eaten and create some create some nice air in there. All right. Alright, so you can see my soy milk with yeast. It's very, very bubbly now. Super bubbly. That means the yeast is super active and healthy. So now we're ready to use it. And I'm going to pour in my 500 grams of all-purpose flour into my mixing pot. And then pour in the yeast mixture. And then let it rip. All right. Plugged in. Now it's the dough has been mixed into a big chunk of dough. It's not as separate as before, and it is a very dry dough. So we want to be so it might be a little bit difficult to when you're kneading it with your hand. If it's too difficult, what you can do is just let it sit for about 5 minutes and then come back to knead it. Okay. Now, once it's a big chunk of dough, it's not very pretty, so that's why we're going to add in our vegetable oil. And then continue kneading. Alright, so I've been mixing for about a good 15-20 15 to 20 minutes. As you can see, the texture of the dough is nice and soft. All the oil has been absorbed. Now we are going to let it just sit for about 10 minutes. And this step is very important. We're not proofing it yet. We are not letting it rise in any sense. This is just so the flour and everything can kind of like, okay, this is our friend, the yeast is our friend, let's just chill together. So let's just sit for 10 minutes. Alright, so now our dough is nice and soft. At least it's a lot softer than before. So that means all the ingredient, it's like, yay, we're friends now. Alright, now we are going to start flattening it out. So it's a nice dough. Just going to push. Push out all the air. And then what we're going to do, we're going to make it into a 3-fold. Okay? Flip it over, push it out again. Make it into another 3-fold. Push it out again. You need to repeat this process for at least 3 times. This is really going to give you that nice texture. Still a workout. And this is the last time I'm going to do it. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it into a nice flat big surface, like a big rectangle. a big rectangle. Alright, so now I have a little water. If you have a sprinkler thing that you use in the kitchen, you can use that too. But I'm just kind of going to use my finger to dab the surface a little bit. This is going to help it not stick as much when I roll it up. Just a little bit. Alright, so now I'm just going to roll it. The traditional mantou or a bun is usually round. And that comes from a kind of scary story. So in the in the Three Kingdom era, so a group of soldiers want to cross a river, but the river is like rolling. It's really difficult for people to cross. So one of us like, oh my goodness, because of the war, there has been a lot of casualties, and now all the spirits want human sacrifice. So then one of the famous person in history, he was like, no, this is nonsense. I'm not going to sacrifice my soldiers. So he ordered the chef to make a bunch of mantou or buns that shaped like a head and throw it inside the river that symbolized human sacrifice. So the soldier lived and they crossed the river easily. So now we have our roll up. Now if you want to add in different flavors, before you roll up you can add, let's say peanut, nuts, cranberry, dry fruit, anything, and then roll up. Then you have a nice feeling. And today I'm not doing that. I want to keep it to the basic. Alright, so each side is nice and similar in size. Grab your little knife and just, what I like to do, I like to cut it about half, right? Just approximately half, and then cut. Now, because you don't want to cut it too big, because we still need to rise it in a little bit, so it's going to double the size once it's risen. So you don't want to cut it too big. The recipe I give you is going to be good for about 8 to 10, depends on the size you like it. So I guess I will make it smaller on a smaller scale. So I will cut 4 to make 10. And now here I have my little paper, the baking paper that I cut. I'm just going to put it on top like this. Okay, and then just going to go into our steamer. This, I have 2. Alright, so just when you're baking, you want to evenly space out your buns like that, so once they rise, they won't stick together. Alright, so now on the bottom of my steamer, I have a big pot of hot water. Now it's not boiling hot, but it's going to be good to keep a nice warm temperature for the buns when they are rising. And it's going to give you a little bit more of moisture for proving. Okay? The proving time is going to be about 40 minutes, depends on the weather, because it's nice and warm today, so you probably take about 35 to 40 minutes. If it's in winter time, you do want to let it prove for a little bit longer, so it will be nice and poofy. Or if you want, you can just prove it to double its size, and that will work fine too. So I will see you guys in 40 minutes. Alrighty, so it's been 40 minutes. So let's take a look at our buns. It has risen to double its size. The side look nice and pretty. Now it's ready to steam it. Okay, so when we are steaming it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the top two and only have the hot water. I want to boil the water first. Okay, so let it boil. I don't want to steam it while it's still warm. I want to put it on the steamer when it's super, super hot, basically. Alright, so the water is boiling now. We are going to turn down So I started steaming the buns. Once the water boiled, I set up the steamer, and then I turn the heat down to medium heat. I don't want the water to boil really, really, really hot when I'm steaming it. And as you can see, on the side of on the top here, I put a little chopsticks there, and now you don't have to use chopsticks if you don't have that on hand. You can use like a knife or spoon or something like that. The purpose is to open it just slightly to tilt the lid. That will make all the moisture that's created from the steam to go toward one side, so it's not dripping on top of the buns and make it have little holes on top. So that's mainly for like cosmetic reason. But it's not going to, if you didn't do that, it's not going to affect the texture of the buns. It's just kind of, it will make it a little, it will make it look better. That's why we're doing it. Okay, and the steaming time is about 12 minutes to 15 minutes, depends on your steamer and how many bread you're making. But I set my timer to about 12 minutes, and that should be enough, because I'm only making about 10 today. But if you worry, you can totally go for 15 minutes, that's fine. Alright, so this timer just went off. It's been about 12 I would say about 13 minutes or so. So I'm going to turn off the heat. Now turn off the heat. Now I'm not going to rush and open this open the lid. I'm just gonna let it rest for another 5 minutes before I open it. This is really going to let it sit just a little bit, okay? Alrighty, so it's been about 5 minutes, so let's take a look at our buns. Dun, 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 dun. So it's nice and puffy, and let me just grab one of them so you can see. Nice. Oh, it's hot, 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 hot. Alright. So, let me see. You can see it's nice and fluffy inside, and it will taste nice and sweet. Because I use soybean, so you can taste a little soy texture in there. And let me take a look at the bottom one. Oh, it's nice and pretty too. Alright, so if you have any question, let me know, and you may freeze these buns for a while, and then all you need to do is heat it up again in a steamer or use a microwave. What I like to do is 30 seconds each. So just do 30 seconds. If it's still too if it's still frozen, do another 30 seconds. Don't just add it on to 1 minute. You really don't need to heat it up. It doesn't require a lot of time to heat it up. So yeah, enjoy and let me know if you want to give it a try. And it's really easy to make, and the ingredient is super duper easy. I will see you guys next time. Bye.